My name is Mona Lisa Abimbola Azeh. I run a company called Mona Matthews. Mona Matthews makes amazing shoes and bags for men, for women, and for children. Mona Matthews is 19 years old, and all our shoes and bags are handmade in Lagos, Nigeria, and we're really, really proudly Nigerian. We make very, very good quality shoes and handbags, and we're very particular about the kind of shoes and bags that we produce in Mona Matthews. Our work has taken us all over the world. We have clients in the United States of America, Canada, England, as well as, of course, Nigeria and some other parts of West Africa. "19 years ago when I started, I really wasn't sure about what I was doing, and that's the honest truth. I wanted to make shoes. I knew I needed to make very good shoes, but I didn't know how I was going to do it. Growing up, I always liked dressing people up. I always liked people looking nice. I would always adjust your hair, your shoes, your total look, So when we were in secondary school and university, when we were going to parties, my friends would come to my room and they'd be doing their hair all over again, and when they see me dressed up, But for myself, because of my size and my feet, it was always an issue getting one thing or the other. So I learned very early, say for instance, that I could have my dresses made to my size and the kind of things that I wanted, So, but shoes, of course, we were always buying shoes. But I think as I got older, my feet got quite wide, and it was very difficult to get the kind of shoes that I liked, And I think I was a mini diva, so to speak. So, and divas like to look good, So truly, what happened to me was, it was just difficult. I remember a pair of shoes I bought in Shoemaker. After spending hours looking for the shoes, I wore the shoes to my friend's studio. She makes clothes. And her little girl looked at my shoes and said, "Auntie, your shoes are not fine." So it was really a problem. So I then noticed that people around me, particularly men, were wearing real leather sandals and slippers, and I would ask, "Where'd you get your shoes?" So they were made, one shoemaker made them for me and another shoemaker made them for me, and I was like, "Oh, really? Okay." So I started to ask, and the first shoemaker that I found, I asked him to make me a pair of shoes, and he said he didn't make shoes for women, your wahala is too much, that he only made men's shoes. So I said, "Okay, you know what, make me a pair, whatever it is." And he made this ugly pair of sandals for me, and I wore them. And someone saw them and said, "Gosh, where'd you get these frightful shoes from?" And I said, they were made for me. And he said, "Oh, I know someone who can make you nicer shoes, And so he introduced me to a shoemaker, a young man, and I designed some shoes and he made them and I wore them. And that's how I started making shoes for myself. And people saw my shoes. I remember particularly my mom saw my one pair I wore. And she was like, "I like your shoes, where'd you get them?" I said, "I made them." She said, "What do you mean you made them?" I said, "I made them now." I said, "Hey, really? Okay, make me a pair." I made a pair for her. And then I had another friend who saw that one. She didn't even say make me a pair. She just took the first pair that I had and she took off with them. I studied law. I studied law and I worked as a lawyer. I even ran my own law firm and all of that. But I got to a point in my life when I just felt uneasy about what I was doing. It wasn't satisfying. And then there were some aspects of how I had to practice that wasn't going very well with who I was at that point, because I had gotten born again and I just wasn't comfortable with what I was doing. I wasn't happy, So I moved into other things. And so at the point where I was when I started Mona Matthews, I was working in a church as church office administrator. But I got to a point where I knew that my time was up there, So I went to speak to my pastor and I said to him, "I think I'm done here, and he said yes, he agreed with me. "So what are you going to do?" I was like, "Oh, go back to law. I love events planning. I could do this. And he said, no, you need to go and pray about this. Find out what God wants you to do at this point. So I took out time and prayed about it. And of all the things that I could have done, shoemaking was what dropped in my heart. And so 2002 February, I started Mona Matthews. Actually, 2002 January. But before that, I spoke to a friend of mine and he said, oh, you want to make shoes? I said, yes. He said, Nike is like the biggest shoe firm in the world, the shoe company, shoe brand in the world. And this is how they run their business. And I said, yeah, that's exactly what I have in mind, And he said, okay, why don't you do a business course? So what I was able to do was when I started my business, I started the business school as well. So I was in school taking the course at Faith Foundation, and I was running my business at the same time. And I was able to, begin to put into practice the things I was learning as I started my business. The first thing about making shoes is finding the shoemakers. And I remember when I started, I had that young man, like I said, who was, fair enough, he was pretty good, but I also knew that the kind of people I wanted to make shoes for and the quality of shoes I wanted to make, that I needed to have people who were really skilled in their crafts. And I also knew that because I was just starting my business, I couldn't afford to employ that quality of shoemakers. So what I decided to do was to outsource production. So I went all out to look for people who ordinarily would have been my competitors. I went all out to look for, excellent shoemakers, people who had been doing their craft for a while, and people who were diligent and who were particular about what they produced, And I was blessed to come into contact with people like that and to engage their services to make shoes for Mona Matthews. So that's how I started building up the core team of Mona Matthews, our craftsmen. And we have people who have worked with us for 17 and a half of the 19 years that we've been in existence. We have someone, I think he's been with us about 18 of those years. One or two people who we don't have anymore is actually because, unfortunately, some of them passed away, But we do have people who've been with us for so long. And we're happy with the kind of people that work with us because they understand what we're trying to do, what we're trying to achieve. I remember when I was starting off, one of the things that was prevalent internationally about Nigeria was 419 and fraud, internet fraud and all of that, And that was what the news was majorly about Nigeria. And I wanted to show the world that, no, Nigeria is a lot more than that. Nigeria has excellent people who do excellent things. I call Lagos the fashion capital of the world. To me, Lagos is full of 21 million fashionistas, So even the man who is a butcher, if you look at how he puts his clothes together, you know that he has style, The young lady who is selling pepper or running a small business by the roadside, she thinks about her outfit before she steps out of her house, So I was particular about the world seeing that, I wanted the world to know that we do have a lot of good stuff in Nigeria. I started my business in January 2002. My father passed on February 19th, 2002. And the Matthew in my Mona Matthews is his first name. He was Matthew Olufemi. So I took my first name and his first name and put them together with the help of a friend. Because as simple as it sounds now, it wasn't even an easy decision to come up with. Because when I was making the shoes, I wasn't putting any label on it at all. And then my friend was like, oh, but what's your name? I was like, my first name is Mona Lisa. And then he goes, so Mona Lisa. And then I said, yeah, but my father's first name is Matthew. And then he goes, oh, Mona Matthew. And you know, that's how it came about. Talking about my finances, so it wasn't like I had any money anywhere. I hadn't any savings particularly. But one of the things that I did was that I started by taking orders from my customers, and I took a deposit from them. And I used the deposit to buy material, pay the shoemakers, you know, and all of that. And then what I learned to do from the scratch was to put back whatever money, whatever profit we made, to put it back in the business and just grow it organically. I didn't need to take a loan. I wasn't looking at funding from that perspective. I was particular about building my base, building my core team, and then building a brand, you know. So some people say, oh, you've been around for 19 years, but we've never heard of you. And I'm like, yes, because when we started, we had limited capacity. We had very few hands who could make the kind of quality that we liked. So I started with a small team of even customers, so to speak, you know. And then we've just sort of like grown organically as our strength increased, as our production capacity increased, we increased our visibility, so to speak. I started in the floor of my living room. My first display units were, essentially the floor, and then maybe this stool, you know, and I remember when I moved into this showroom, my customers would be like, Mona Matthews, you've increased your prices. I say, yes, I have to pay rent. And they'd be like, no, we like your house. We don't mind. We want to come to your house. I say, it's not your fault. So you're wearing the shoes and going abroad and posing all over the place with the shoes. They won't know you bought it from my living room. You know, but seriously, that's how we grew. And I found out that people understood where we were in our journey, and they grew with us. We've had customers who've been with us almost practically from the beginning of the journey, and they're still with us to the glory of God. So we've taken things as they come, you know. For instance, staffing, like I said, I couldn't afford to employ the shoemakers, so I outsourced production, and that has worked for me because it's given me a variety that most other people don't have. I'm able to produce different kinds of shoes because I work with people in their areas of strength, you know. And then when it was time for us to move into the showroom and expand our, base and increase our visibility, we just started adding on to what we had as we could. I started by myself. I was everything. I was the designer, I was the shop girl, I was the one who measured the feet. I did everything. I went to the market with the shoemakers to look for the leather and the materials we were using for making the shoes. I did everything to start with. And then I remember I had a TV interview on NTA2. Adeso Ayenekwe interviewed me on NTA2, and a young lady saw me on television, and she called me after the show, and she said to me, oh, I want to learn how to make shoes. Can I come and learn from you? And I said to her, well, I don't make the shoes myself. I design and I run the business, and this is what I do. If you want to come and learn that, I can show you, I can teach you that. And that's how I got my first staff. Compared to imported goods, a lot of made in Nigeria things are expensive compared. And I use the word expensive in a very relative term, okay? So let's use my shoes, for instance. You can buy a pair of sneakers that are imported for 10,000, 7,000, 5,000. But you come to Mona Matthews and I tell you that my sneakers are 32,000 and you're like, for a pair of sneakers, why? One, the sneakers are made by a human being, not a machine. That human being has a wife, children, pays rent, school fees, needs to eat, needs to look good as well. That's number one. Number two, my sneakers take like 8 hours to make from scratch, from beginning. I'm not even including the time of going to buy the leather and all of that. Number three, they are leather. They're made from real leather. They're not made from canvas or fabric or anything like that. They're 100% leather, upper, lining, inside and out, it's all leather. Then the soles, rubber soles, but they're very good quality. Number three, they last very long. My customers tell me, Mona Matthews, you know what, I had to give the shoes away because they refuse to get bad, you know. If you buy a pair of imported shoes and they go bad, it's unlikely you will go back to the person that sold them and say to them, these shoes have gone bad. But if you buy my shoes and anything goes wrong with them, you are bringing them back to me. So in the first place, my shoemakers don't want you to bring the shoes back because they have to do it all over again. So from the get-go, as much as it's within our power, we do the very best. The third thing is that in Nigeria, your own local government, you run electricity, you have to run a generator, you have to pump water, you have to be your own security guard. Insurance is now coming alive, you know, but before then, you are your own insurance agency, which means that you wake up at 4 a.m. and pray for 2 hours, that nothing will go wrong today, you know, that there will be no flood, there will be no rain carrying the roof of your workshop away, etc., etc., etc. You know, so all of those things, by the time you put them into consideration, they do make made in Nigeria things appear more expensive. But on the other side, the things we make in Nigeria, we make good quality things. I always ask people, if you are going to a wedding today, seriously, are you wearing an imported outfit or are you wearing a made in Nigeria outfit? Who is going to make you that outfit that shows all the curves, you know, exactly to your height, to your height, yes, you know, to your taste, the colors you want, you know, and everything. You can make your fascinator, your dress, earrings to match, shoes and bags, everything. You can have everything handmade in Nigeria. Now, go to England and just look for someone that is making shoes the way I'm making shoes and ask them, how much do those shoes cost? If you find them, and then when you found them, how much? I saw a post by Louboutin on their Instagram page and I screen grabbed it and I posted it, you know. They said, a pair of boots is like $3,000 handmade for you, $3,000 or $5,000, I can't even remember. And then you have to go for fitting in Paris like 3 or 4 times just to make sure that the boots fit and all of that. And you're getting that for, you're getting my handmade, made to order shoes for a fraction of that. So it's really, we're comparing what we make in Nigeria to the wrong things. We're comparing them to mass-produced things. That's not what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to compare made in Nigeria, handmade things, to handmade things from anywhere in the world. And I tell you, where we are today, in most of the things we're making, they can stand side by side, shoulder to shoulder, and sometimes we're even better. Thank you.